Hello everyone, this is Colleen Lemma, Starseed Astrologer and Spiritual Messenger from SacredSoulEmpowerment.com. Here to do your monthly intuitive reading for December 2020. For this month's intuitive reading, we're going to be using the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha for the main message for everyone. And your special message card, depending on your stone of choice this month, will come from the Black Moon Astrology Cards by Susan Shepard. So this is a powerful month, and it's going to be a month of change and redirection and death and rebirth. But before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and show you what your stones of choice are for that special message card a little bit later on. Your first stone of choice is this beautiful lapis. Now, this is a lapis sphere. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's this beautiful little gold speckling all over it. And it's got kind of what I like to call an eye here. You know, lapis is actually for the third eye. So this is a perfect kind of representation of that opening of the third eye with this. If your stone of choice is this, then you're one that's looking for a higher vision. You're looking to expand your psychic sight. You're looking to kind of tap into that intuitive guidance as far as where you need to go next and what the next step on your path is. Your second stone of choice is a beautiful and powerful Lemurian seed crystal. Isn't that a beauty? It's got these wonderful three sides to it. In the front, it's just a wonderful representation of a record keeper Lemurian seed crystal. It's one of my prized possessions here. Now, this one, of course, with quartz crystal, we're talking about the crown chakra, the opening up to higher wisdom and knowledge. And even more so, this one, of course, has ancient information encoded in it. Now, obviously, you can't feel the crystal, but there's these little ridges with these Lemurian seed crystals. And those ridges are the encoded information from ancient times, like Atlantis and Lemuria. So this Lemurian seed crystal is going to assist with giving you that higher understanding of times past and gifts and talents that you've had from previous lifetimes. And again, that encoded information that will help us as a collective, as a humanity. If you're one that is here to assist the masses in some way, assist the group consciousness in some way, then perhaps the Lemurian seed crystal is your stone of choice this month. And the last stone of choice, now don't let this fool you, it might be smaller than that lapis, but this is an amber sphere, and a sphere made out of amber. So amber is very powerful. It's a powerful cleansing of old emotions and feelings. It works well with the absorbing and transmuting. Actually, it needs to be transmuted once they absorb it. It can transmute those heavy feelings that you have within yourself, but then we do need to cleanse this crystal because it'll kind of hang on to it. But this also relates to the solar plexus chakra, right? This is our center of personal power. So this wonderful light amber, as far as the weight is concerned, now that lapis by comparison is very heavy, but the amber is really light. But it's very powerful in bringing you into your personal power. This is helping you to raise your confidence levels, your sense of courage, and your sense of personal power so that you're empowered in regards to moving forward on your path. So again, we have some wonderful stones. We have the lapis for you. We have the Lemurian seed record keeper crystal, and we have this wonderful, powerful, empowering amber sphere. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the numerology vibration of the month of December, last month of the year. And as I said, there's a lot of powerful things happening here. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the numerology vibration, which we always get by taking the universal year number of 2020 in this case, and adding it to the month in question. So 2020 adds up to a 4 if we add those numbers together. We're in a 4 universal year, and we're about to move into and transition to 2021, which is going to be a different universal year vibration. But we take the 4 universal year of 2020, we add it to December, which is the 12th month. That gives us the number 16. The number 16 is a karmic number in numerology. There's 4 karmic numbers, 13, 14, 16, and 19. So the 16 karmic number vibration talks about huge change and transformation that is external, and then that external change and transformation, the change and redirection and transformation of whatever's going on situationally around us with circumstances in our environment, then brings about a great big change and transformation within us. Now, the 16th major arcana, which that karmic number 16 relates to, is the Tower card. And if any of you know what the Tower card is, it usually shows a structure, a tall building, for instance, and there's a lightning bolt from the sky that comes down and hits the building, and the building is on fire, starts to crumble down to the ground. And so this is representative of the structures, the foundations in your life around you situationally, and even somewhat within you, that may come crumbling down. Now, this can be about belief systems that you hold, that you thought were, true for you. And all of a sudden, something happens situationally, or something comes in to redirect your life, and those belief systems have to come crumbling down in order to be revised or rebuilt in some way. Now, the Tower could also represent an actual situation or circumstance in your life that you thought was on solid footing, or at least you felt like it was, at least in the present moment. And what's going to happen is, situationally, is we have eclipses this month, and that's why the Tower card comes into play for December. It's like the rug gets pulled out from under you. It's like, whether it be a job situation, your career, home and family, something within relationships, something even financially speaking, there's huge change and a restructuring that happens with the Tower card. So it's like the rug gets pulled out from under you, or the foundation starts to weaken and crumble, and then whatever comes toppling down, you have to rebuild and restructure something more solid, something more secure. And again, whether that's a situational circumstance within regards to career, home, family, like we talked about, relationship, or whether that's an internal energetic perspective or belief system, or way you perceived yourself, or what you thought your life path was all about. Now, this doesn't have to be negative or scary in any way. Excuse me. This is about the universe redirecting us so that we realign ourselves in the way that our soul is trying to direct us, if that makes any sense. The weekly reading I just put up for November 30th through December 6th, I showed you a representation of that Tower card from the Psychic Tarot, which in that deck is called Disruption. And when I talked about it in the weekly reading, it's like our energy within or outside of us is disrupted. It's dissembled. I think that was the word I was trying to look for, that I used in the video. It's dissembled. I don't think that's exactly right, but it's dissembled so that it can be reassembled. We're taking something apart so that we can put something back together, so that we can realign, so that we're in alignment. Our ego is in realignment. Our third dimensional reality is in realignment with the truth of our soul's purpose, our soul's path, our soul's direction. So it's actually a positive thing, even though it feels sometimes like it's a challenging thing when we're going through it. Now, the representation of the Tower in the Syrian Starseed Tarot is that of a building, that the lightning bolt, as I said, comes down and hits the building. And, the fire to me represents transmutation. The fire is very transmuting. It's like we're burning away the old, which is a symbol of, this full moon lunar eclipse that I'm going to talk about in a minute, where we can write down what it is that we need to release, and then we can burn it. And that's symbolic of this fire that's helping to transform something, transform that structure into something different. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the astrology here. I'm actually going to talk about that full moon lunar eclipse, even though it occurs on November 30th, the last day of November, because it's very significant in regards to what's going to be occurring or unfolding for us in the month of December. So on November 30th, 2020, we have a full moon lunar eclipse at 8 degrees of Gemini. Now, it might be very telling for you if you were to be able to either look at your own astrological chart or contact an astrologer whom can help you as far as where does that full moon lunar eclipse fall in your chart, because full moons are about completion. It's a time of healing the shadow side within ourselves, time of releasing and letting go of old belief systems or ways of feeling or operating within our lives. Again, it relates to that shadow side, our fears, our anxieties, our doubts. And the full moon always intensifies our emotions, right, and our emotional triggers. The fact that it's an eclipse is going to heighten that energy. It's going to heighten that emotional energy. It's going to heighten the energy of completion. That's what eclipses do. They're harbingers of change. So when we have eclipses, which we have then, of course, 2 weeks later after that full moon lunar eclipse, we'll have a solar eclipse, which I'll get to in a minute. It's about endings and new beginnings. It's about completion and initiation. And the fact that this is also the last month of 2020, and we're winding up a year's energy, plus we have the solstice later on this month, the winter solstice, and then there's a couple of other things that I'm going to be talking about astrologically that make this month a hugely important month of change and redirection and endings and new beginnings. Now, again, that full moon lunar eclipse is in Gemini, which is about our thoughts, our perceptions, our communications. So it's on a mental body level, the completion of old thoughts, the releasing of old perceptions, the releasing of, certain ideas that we hold about ourselves and our lives. That's mainly where this completion phase is going to take place. However, as I said, each one of us, each one of you personally has that eclipse falling somewhere in your chart. And then again, when we come to the new moon solar eclipse, you'll have that eclipse falling somewhere in your chart. And it might be good to find out where that is, so you know where also, more information about where those endings and new beginnings are taking place for you. Now we can move into December. And the first thing of significance after that full moon lunar eclipse that occurs on November 30th, well, we'll go ahead and mention that Mercury, on the very 1st of December, Mercury is moving out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius. Now, Mercury is the sign that rules Gemini, so it rules that lunar eclipse that we have on November 30th. Mercury rules the mind, it rules the mental realm, and usually we call it the lower mental realm, our thoughts, our ideas, our communications. And Scorpio was a pretty heavy-duty place for it. Mercury in Scorpio for the last, little while here, a few weeks, has been much more empathic, much more clairsentient, and maybe even a little bit more in a brooding state, or maybe even in a depressing state. The sign of Scorpio can rule the shadow side of things, right? So what are the shadow side of our thoughts and our belief systems? Now on the 1st of December, I feel positive and optimistic that it's moving into Sagittarius, which is the sign of optimism. It's the sign of expansion and the big picture, and it's the sign of our belief systems and philosophies. And Sagittarius rules, it rules expanding into the vision of what it is that we want to be moving towards. It's the vision of our potential. It's really wanting to learn and expand and grow and just move forth in a very happy, optimistic, benevolent way. So with Mercury, the planet of the mind in Sagittarius, expansive Sagittarius, which also, by the way, can be very opinionated and can be judgmental, so judgments can start to fly. This is the sign of the truth seeker. Sagittarius is the truth seeker, looking for the truth, but it also speaks the truth and sometimes speaks so very bluntly. So for the next few weeks here, while Mercury's in Sagittarius, you might find that you no longer are holding back speaking your truth or saying something or having that conversation or communication with someone, you're going to find that you're very bold and very forthright and very truthful in speaking your ideas, thoughts, opinions, beliefs. And that's okay, but sometimes, again, it can really be to the point. And so sometimes to just kind of sit back and kind of think to yourself before you actually speak and think about how you want to deliver that communication or conversation, sometimes that's a good idea, especially with Mercury and Sagittarius. Now, the next big thing is on the 14th of December. It's really the second half of December where we start to get into some big heavy-duty energies. Not that the lunar eclipse at the end of November isn't heavy-duty starting us into December, but on December 14th we have that new moon solar eclipse, and again it's in Sagittarius. It's at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. And new moons, as we know, are about new beginnings, and the eclipse is going to intensify that energy. So where is the new beginning? The new beginning is in Sagittarius, the energies of Sagittarius, which is, again, the big vision or the big picture of where we want to go and what we want to experience. Sagittarius rules higher education. It rules long-distance travel. It rules adventure. It rules taking a risk. You know, it rules really visualizing and seeing where it is we want to go optimistically and putting our energy towards that, although sometimes the energy of Sagittarius is a little bit of vacillating and it's back and forth and all over the place because it's fire and it's mutable. So mutable fire is kind of all over the place, but it is exciting and it's adventurous and it's you know, just energetic and passionate. So this new moon, this new beginning, is in the realm of our belief systems, philosophies, the vision of where we want to go. That's where this is. It's like, where do you want to go as we move into 2021? What's the big picture of who you want to be, how you want to experience life, what the next steps on your path are? You know, Sagittarius likes to explore the broad horizons. So here we have a new beginning with all of this. Now, again, the fact that it's a solar eclipse intensifies this energy of new beginnings and initiations. And it's not just going to be from November 30th through December 14th, or even just through the end of December, that we're experiencing this transition, this death and rebirth, these endings and new beginnings. These eclipse energies will last until the next set of eclipses come along. So we're talking, you know, 2, 3, 4 months here of this death and rebirth energy, of this change, redirection, of letting go of the old. And this is where the universe sometimes steps in to assist you in letting go of the old. The eclipses, again, kind of bring quick, sudden, unexpected changes into our lives to, again, realign us to where it is we need to be on a soul level. So with the lunar eclipse, do some inner healing work. Contemplate where you need to heal the shadow within, especially within the mind, you know, and where it is you need to let go of things or circumstances or energies or beliefs within your life. With the new moon solar eclipse, initiate something new. And even if you don't know exactly what that might be, start small, start simple. Visualize or do a vision board or do a ceremony where you're envisioning with that Sagittarius expanded vision, right? Envision what it is that you want to create in these next few weeks or few months. What is this death and rebirth all about for you? Okay. So the next thing of significance here astrologically, well, we do have on the 15th, Venus is following Mercury and moving into Sagittarius. So now the planet of love and relationships, money and finances, she also is going to be more freedom-oriented and adventurous and optimistic in that sign of Sagittarius. Also, we have on the 17th, is it 16th or 17th? I think it's the 17th, we have Chiron moving to direct motion, right around there, 15th, 16th, 17th. Chiron, the wounded healer, is moving back to direct motion. Now, Chiron rules our past lives and past life karma, our past life wounds. He's the wounded healer, but also the shaman, so he brings in healing. And right now he's in Aries. He moves pretty slowly, so he's going to be in Aries for a long while. But know that as he's stationing at 5 degrees of Aries, getting ready to turn to direct motion around mid-month, it's bringing up all of these wounds of the self, which is what Aries rules. Aries rules our self-identity, our self-confidence, our self-value, our self-worth. And so these kind of wounds might start to intensify. Now again, we already have eclipse energies intensifying things for us. Now we have Chiron bringing up wounds regarding the self and where we need to heal those. And then let me take a closer look at these dates here. I think Chiron moves direct on the 16th, and then on the 17th, or it's switched, on the 17th we have Saturn. Sorry about that. Saturn is moving into Aquarius. Now this is important because Saturn has been in his home sign of Capricorn for the last 2.5 years. Saturn is the great teacher of lessons. Saturn rules karma and karmic lessons. Saturn rules restriction and limitation, but Saturn also rules restructuring, responsibility, manifestation, and bringing things into form. Now, for the last 2.5 years, with Saturn being in his home sign of Capricorn, there may have been some karmic lessons or things where we needed to take responsibility regarding the patriarchal system. Saturn in Capricorn, the sign that it rules, is all about our third dimensional reality, the patriarchal system, big business, big institutions, politics, etc. And that's where we've seen a great deal of energies playing out, especially in the last year or so, as Saturn's been winding up its stay in Capricorn. So it's moving into Aquarius. Now, Saturn rules Capricorn, yes, but it also rules Aquarius. In ancient times, when we only had 7 planets to work with, we didn't yet discover Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto until the 1700s, 1800s, and 1900s, respectively. So we only had up until Saturn to work with. So Saturn in ancient times ruled Capricorn, but it also ruled Aquarius. But Aquarius is a much different energy. Aquarius rules futuristic energy, breakthrough energy, rebellious energy. It rules a new paradigm of energy. It rules the Aquarian age, right? Aquarian age. Let's move into better and progressive technology and humanitarian ideals, and let's come together as a collective and assist the world in healing and help humanity. So Saturn in Aquarius is going to act a lot different than Saturn in Capricorn. And I'm going to come back here in a minute and speak more about Saturn in Aquarius. But on the 19th, we have Jupiter leaving Capricorn and moving into Aquarius. Now, Jupiter's been in Capricorn for the last year, okay? So in this year of 2020, it's been traveling through Capricorn with Saturn, and Pluto's also there, but Pluto is much slower moving and will continue to be in Capricorn. But now Saturn and Jupiter have both moved out of Capricorn and in Aquarius by just after mid-month, again between 16th, 17th, and 19th. Of December. We have Saturn moving into Aquarius, then Jupiter moving into Aquarius. Jupiter rules our belief systems. Jupiter rules abundance and prosperity and blessings. Jupiter rules the expansion principle. Whatever it touches, it expands. Now that's interesting because Saturn likes to contract or restrict. Jupiter likes to expand and get bigger. They're both moving into Aquarius, so there might be this little bit of a push-pull thing going on, and you might wonder who's going to kind of win out in this energy. Is Saturn going to win out because he's the great teacher of lessons, and is he going to win out in that restrictive, limiting energy of limiting us with technology and forward advancement and humanitarian endeavors, or is Jupiter going to win out because he's an expansive planet? He likes to make things bigger. Is he going to allow some of these humanitarian, collective, group, technology, futuristic, betterment of the collective energies to kind of win out. So now after these two have just within days of each other moved into Aquarius, now we skip to the 21st of December. Not only is the 21st of December the solstice, the winter solstice energy here in the northern hemisphere, but it's also the day that Jupiter and Saturn conjunct or come together the exact same degree and minute of Aquarius at the 0 degree point. They're still at 0 degrees, both of them. Now the 0 degree of any sign is a critical degree, what we call a critical degree in astrology. So it's very important. It's an initiating degree. It's the degree of new birth, right? It's the first degree of any sign, the 0 degree point, is that degree of new birth, the new birth of this energy. And we had Jupiter in Capricorn for the last year. We had Saturn in Capricorn for the last 2.5 years. They're now both moving into Aquarius and coming together at that critical degree of 0, that new birth energy of the humanitarian. Coming together for the betterment of the collective. Coming together with common ideals and goals, coming together with futuristic ideas, both in technology and how to help the planet. Free energy. It's an air sign, Aquarius is, and so it rules the air, it rules energy. Those waves, that glyph of Aquarius, we often think, that glyph represents waves of water, but no, Aquarius is an air sign. It's waves of electricity. And so this can be the start and the beginning of all the things that all of you out there as light workers dreamed of. It's the beginning of this new energy technology, new ways of doing things, helping the planet, helping people. Now, it's not going to come all together all at once, right? Saturn's going to be there for 2.5 years in Aquarius, bringing things into manifestation. Jupiter's going to be there for the next year, expanding that energy. But Saturn, again, can give a little kickback of that restrictive and limiting, so there might be some bumps in the road, so to speak. Now, I'm going to be doing future extra videos on this, because just talking about this Jupiter-Saturn thing is going to be something that we can go even more in depth in. But I don't want to make this monthly December video too long, but know that this is, to me, a really positive initiation of energy as we near that 2021 point of a new universal year energy. Now again, the solstice happens also on the 21st. The time where night is we have the longest day or the longest night of the year, excuse me. This is in the northern hemisphere. The longest night of the year, the day of the most darkness. And it's the shortest day of the year, so the time where we have the least amount of sunlight during the day. Now again, the southern hemisphere, it's switched for you, right? You're in the solstice, summer solstice over there in Australia and in the southern hemisphere. But here in the northern hemisphere, this is a time of self-reflection. This is a time of going within. This is, that's what the dark represents. It's going within ourselves. It's having kind of the stillness within. And so between the eclipses of December, heralding in completion and endings and initiations and new beginnings, and the winter solstice, the time of a turning point, basically, of going within and looking at our own shadow side and reflecting on the past so that we can move forward to the future, because after the winter solstice, the days start to get longer and the nights start to get shorter, right? So that there's a resurgence of the light that comes after the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere. So that's a big important thing as well, something again that I may talk about in its own separate video. And then we have Jupiter and Saturn, both going into Aquarius within days of each other and then coming together on the winter solstice day, December 21st, and heralding in this new beginning energy, this initiation energy of Aquarius at that time. So the only other thing to talk about astrologically is that on the 29th we have another full moon. It's not an eclipse, but we do have a full moon in Cancer on the 29th of December. And of course, Cancer is a very nurturing, emotional, intuitive sign. And so that energy, of course, the moon rules Cancer, so it's going to be a hugely kind of emotional energy at that time, at the end of the month. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the messages from our angels and guides from the Syrian Starseed Tarot. So we look at the first card here, and there is only 3 cards. And the first card is Major Arcana, number 11, Divine Justice. Interesting, powerful Major Arcana card that we start out with, Divine Justice. This is the Justice card in the traditional tarot. So this is about the scales of justice, right? The karmic scales of justice being rebalanced. Now, the woman's wearing a blindfold, so you have to realize that we might not be able to see what lies ahead, right? We have to trust and have faith, because what we might see with our physical eyes really isn't necessarily our reality anyway. But in this case, we might not be able to see into the future. As we move into 2021, we might not be able to physically see what's going to be occurring or happening or unfolding for us. We have to trust that the universe, this divine justice, is going to be done. And so here we have the universal divine scales of justice that are rebalancing. In fact, in this picture, they look pretty balanced. They don't look to even be out of balance. So I feel like that's a message that shows us that things are coming back into balance. Now, again, it might be slow. It probably won't all happen, in certainly not the month of December. It probably won't happen in the month of January necessarily. But know that this energy, all these hugely transitional energies that are happening here in December, this is the start of things coming back karmically into balance for us. And not just, I don't think, for us as a person or as a collective of humanity. I feel like it's beyond even the earth. You can see that here Lady Justice is within the middle of the universe. She's almost like in this wormhole in the universe. So I feel like what's happening here on the earth, it goes well beyond Earth Mother Gaia. It goes into the star systems and the other planets and the other star beings of the light. I feel like they're all kind of watching us. They're all kind of waiting to see how we're going to use our free will to unfold the energies as we move forward. Okay, I think they're assisting as much as they can, but they can't really impede on our free will in a lot of ways. But know that if enough of us can move into our star being center or into our higher soul self center, we're going to be able to have a positive effect on rebalancing these karmic scales of justice, of energy that's happening on the planet. Okay, the next card, the second card, this is, interestingly enough, the very next card in the Major Arcana 12, the Hanging Man. And here, the Hangman is always about, looking at things from a different perspective or a different vantage point. And of course, with how this year of 2020 has gone, we definitely need to look at things from a different perspective, right? Again, if we look at what our reality is with our physical eyes, it may not look that great. But if we trust that whatever's happening, that we can't really see what's happening on a spiritual level, that we need to see with our spiritual eyes, right? But we can't really physically see what's happening. We just have to change our perspective. And as you can see in this card, in this Hanging Man card, he's hung upside down within a pendulum, and his crown chakra is all lit up. So he's kind of in a meditative state. He's in this state of meditating and contemplating and surrendering and trusting and having faith and just taking a moment. This is like, to me, the solstice energy. Taking a moment, standing still, just being and trusting, and looking at things from a different perspective, because again, things are not all as they seem. Let's see what else we can get from this card here. I like the fact that he's in a pendulum, right? Because that's kind of intensifying. Well, that's kind of the eclipse energies, right? This almost looks like a smoky quartz pendulum, which is intensifying the energies around him. It's intensifying his meditative state, his state of being able to tap in and intuit what's going on or to shift his perspective. But it's also that intensification of the eclipses that are happening this month too. So looking at the last card here that came up, the last card is Major Arcana 17. I love it. The Star card. The Star card is very Aquarian energy to me, right? So we have Jupiter and Saturn moving into Aquarius. We have the Star card, which is ruled by Aquarius. This is the water bearer in this case. We don't actually see the water bearer in this rendition of the card. We see a figure that's in the stars, within the stars. So isn't it interesting that we have the Divine Justice card where Lady Justice is in the universe, within this kind of wormhole of the universe. So things are very universal. What's going on right now is a very universal shifting of energies on our planet. And then we have the Star card within the midst of the universe saying to dream the big dream, right? The Star card is about our hopes, dreams, and wishes coming true. Now it's off in the future. The Star card is about a futuristic kind of thing, right? So in the future, this energy, this Jupiter, Saturn, and Aquarius is going to lead us in the right direction. Now it might take a little while. It might even take a few years, right, to make these changes and redirections and transitions on a collective level, on a big worldwide level. And for you personally too, of course. I mean, this is a message for you on a personal level as well. Now, it might not take you years. I'm just speaking on a collective level that sometimes things happen very slowly. Sometimes they happen very quickly. And so either way, there's positive change coming. We're moving towards this positive, universal, consciously collective awareness, energy, expansion, new positive energies for the planet, new awareness, new technology, new ways of doing things, new ways of helping one another, supporting one another, and then your personal dreams as well. So whatever's going on, make sure that you're releasing and letting go through some sort of intention or ceremony, what you no longer want to hold on to, whether it's situational or whether it's an energy within you, a belief system, and initiate and activate your gifts, talents, and abilities. Initiate and activate your vision for the future. Initiate and activate the new beginning that you wish to move towards. And even if you don't know exactly what that might entail, just take any sort of positive action, or put out any sort of positive intention towards creating your hopes and your dreams and your wishes. And even if it's just sitting in meditation and visualizing yourself happy, healthy, whole, balanced, in love, prosperous, abundant, living the dream, whatever that might be, that's what this card is. So have the intention and visualize the state of happiness and fulfillment that you wish to be in, if nothing else. Okay, let's take a look at the special message card depending on the stone of choice. So, for Lapis people, I'm going to close my eyes here and shuffle for a moment. Lapis special message. Lapis people. Special message for Lapis. This one's calling my attention, sticking up. Saturn return. Okay, we've been talking about Saturn. Saturn return. So, some of you may be going through your Saturn return, but that's not necessarily what's happening with this card. The Saturn return is where Saturn comes all the way around your chart between the age of 29, 30, maybe into your 31st year, and it returns to the place it was when you were born. Now, aside from that, because of course not all of you that got this card are going to be between the age of 29 and 30, 31, this to me is about returning to a sense of responsibility to yourself. That's what Saturn is about. Saturn is about learning the lessons that you need to, the karmic lessons, getting them, understanding them, not repeating them. Okay, so this is where Saturn's trying to teach you something, you're learning it, and you're returning to a sense of responsibility in that learning. Okay, so take responsibility for what Saturn's trying to teach you, and then utilize it in the appropriate form in order to move forward, okay? Saturn sometimes needs patience. So this says don't, they're saying don't get freaked out. I don't usually talk like that necessarily on video, but don't get freaked out about what's happening, where you're at, if you think you're behind. This Saturn's about time and patience. Saturn rules third dimensional time. So we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to be patient with divine timing. We need to be patient with learning our lessons and the energy unfolding. So know that whatever's going on, as long as you're allowing Saturn to teach you what he's trying to teach you, and you're taking responsibility for learning those lessons, whatever they might be, and you're working on healing the past life, karma or belief systems or patterns, then all is well. That's all you have to do. And then in time and through patience, Saturn's going to then be the great manifester in your life. Saturn likes to bring things into manifestation, but it's through time and patience. And when he does manifest your dreams, your hopes, your wishes, it's something that is going to be long-lasting, because that's what Saturn is. It's going to be solid and structural, and it's going to be something that lasts for a really long time. Okay, so know that that's coming for you. All right, for those of you that chose the Lemurian seed crystal, special message for Lemurian seed people. Lemurian seed people. Okay. Trying to decide which one's calling my attention here. This one here, I'm going to go with. This one is the 7th house in partners. So a lot of you with the Lemurian seed people dealing with some partnership relationship things, maybe things coming to completion. Maybe that's actually the relationship itself coming to completion, but it can also be about patterns, karmic patterns coming to completion, energies within a partnership and how the partnership is operating coming to completion so that the partnership can be rebirthed in a new way. So whether that's completing the relationship or completing the pattern within the relationship and then initiating something new and birthing something new, it seems like relationships are something that's a focus for you. And whether that be romantic or business or friendship or family, there's things to be learned in our partnerships, in our relationships. So even in these eclipse times of endings and new beginnings, people are our mirror. We're mirroring things back and forth. This is how we learn. This is our greatest tool of learning, is relationships. So know that all these different types of relationships are something that can help to reflect aspects of ourselves to ourselves, and it can bring us into an understanding of ourselves truly at the depth of who we really are. Now, there's also something here as far as new relationships coming in, new soulmate relationships, again, whether it be romantic, business, family, friends. There's a potential for probably in the next 3 months or so, new people coming into our lives, new connections coming into our lives. So pay attention to that. All right, and then for those of you that chose that powerful Amber, special message for Amber. This one keeps calling my attention here. Nope, not that one. Okay, I'm just going to shuffle again, because none of them that I was touching wanted to come out easily. So, special message for Amber. Okay, this one popped up. That's the one. Ooh, Void of Course Moon. Void of Course Moon that's a powerful message as well. The Void of Course Moon technically is when the moon makes no further aspects in the sign that it's traveling through until it moves into the next sign. So that's kind of about, it's like a lack of energy going on. This is about like a standstill of energy. So this to me has something to do with the solstice, that kind of standstill energy before something initiates again. So I feel like even though we have a new moon solar eclipse the middle of December, I feel like you're needing to wait until after the solstice energy, and maybe even into January of 2021 before you feel like you're moving again. You know, I feel like you might feel like you're stagnant or at a standstill or things aren't moving, and I feel like it's going to take a little bit of time, again, somewhere from December 21st and into the beginning of January 2021, before you feel like things are starting to come together, or starting to make sense, or starting to be brought to your awareness. You know, as you see here at the bottom, it says missing. There's something missing. And it's not that you're missing it. You're not missing anything. But there's an energy dynamic within the stars, the planets, you know, your own kind of energetic soul makeup or whatever. There's something that's missing and hasn't been brought in yet. But that has nothing to do with you. You just have to be patient and wait. And of course, the moon is our emotional state, right? Our emotions, our emotional body, our feelings. How does that have anything to do with? I'm just asking. What does that have to do with, Spirit? So we're talking about the emotions. They're saying that you're missing some sort of, that's not really a good way to put it. You're needing to, or being asked to, initiate some sort of emotional movement. So I feel like there's an emotional piece missing or something. And it's not that you can't find it or that you won't find it, but there's something that needs to be activated emotionally. Like, in other words, you might be feeling a lack of emotional passion in your life, in some area of your life. You're needing to activate that passion again. You're needing to activate the joy. You're needing to activate the happiness. You're needing to activate something emotionally and positively within you in order to move out of this void, of course, moon kind of state or standstill or stagnation, in order to move forward. So that's kind of the piece that I'm getting with that. All right, everybody. I think that's it. I hope you all enjoyed this monthly intuitive reading. Again, be sure to look out for the extra videos that I intend to do before the end of the year on eclipses or solstices or whatever it might be, whatever Spirit tells me to do. Please subscribe to my channel, share the video, comment on the video, like the video. I really appreciate all of you following me for the months and years that you have, and connecting with me on Facebook, and now I'm on Instagram and Pinterest, and what's the other one? Tumblr. So check me out on those social media platforms as well. Working, of course, myself on new and upcoming things. Some things have already been unfolded on my website that are new, so please check those out. Other things are to come, so please stay tuned. Sending you all lots of love and light and happy holiday energy for the season. Until we meet again in the next video. Blessings, everyone. Namaste.